Hello there. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. And so what we want to look at today is obviously AutoCAD 2025, but also I want to look at things like our evolution. So first of all, let me talk about who I am really. First of all, my name is Jeff Older. I'm an application specialist here at Symmetry, and much of my work is with AutoCAD. Been working with AutoCAD actually for many years now, and too many years to be honest. I used to say over 20, now I say over 30. So I've worked with AutoCAD for a long time, and I'm pleased to be able to present to you. And my colleague in a moment, Lorenzo, will talk about Sovelia as well. He's also been working with AutoCAD a long time. So without really spending too much more time now, let's move forward and talk about what we want to do today. So our agenda for the moment today is the AutoCAD evolution. When I talk about the AutoCAD evolution, in my training, I do a lot of training here with the evolution of AutoCAD. A lot of people have said in my classes, they say, oh, can we do this and can we do that? So what I like to do is discuss these features, but not only just the features of 2025, but how they've evolved over the years. So in my course that I have developed, I can have at least 10 years of evolution, because it was a nice feature in 2015 when the old menu system, or what they called classic menu, was not was discontinued. So it moved on to the ribbons and stuff like that. So I developed a course for that. Now I want to look at the 2025 new features here for us for the moment, and it involves just a few little intros here, and I want to demo that in a second now, looking at activity insights, things about blocks, search and convert in blocks, object detection, this type of thing. A few in the hatch improvements. Esri maps are now available to the geopositioning, markup imports, and graphics configuration, the simple graphics configuration that people forget. And I quite like the idea of just showing you how you can do a quick diagnostic on there. So let's move forward and have a little demo here for us. So what I need to do now is share my screen, and I'm going to come here to share my screen here now. So you should be seeing my AutoCAD here. Okay, I'm here, that's right. It was flickering there for me at the moment. Hopefully that was not on for yours as well. So here I've got my AutoCAD set up here on a little project here. And so a couple of things that have been useful, I find very useful here. If I jump over to the View tab here, one of the features that have evolved over the last few versions, and like I say, I'm not talking about just 2025 here, over the few versions, is activity insights here. And what are activity insights? These are all these are features that of plot the evolution of the project. So activity insights, I can see here I've got versions here, my version 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. So for example, I click on compare here, you can see that I've got some changes from an original component here. If I move up to the compare to the next one, I can see that there was some changes in there. Those little aspects are very small, but of course in an activity insights concept, we can do a lot more than that. I quite like that. It's actually been improved over the last few years. So we're starting to get concepts where we can have everything. We can have who's done the changes. And clearly for me, I'm the only one that's done any changes here. And then we can add in here all activities and stuff like this. So if we've done changes in saves and changes and saves as and things like that, we can monitor that. I think that's very useful actually, certainly when you're working within a team. So that's activity insights there, which is rather nice. If I just close that at the moment, one of the other aspects I've been looking at recently is supporting our clients with the way that their drawings are being managed. And one of the major issues is the way that blocks are being used and cut and paste and stuff like this. So as we evolve in here, we do have some new features coming in that will support our blocks. So for example, I have a concept here called B convert or block convert. B convert is a little command here. So if I zoom into here, you see I've got some components here like these. This is just a simple ellipse and another little ellipse there, really representing just a chair. So if I select a component here like this and press the enter here, you could see that it flags up that I've got many components here that it's seen many of these are the same. So the machine learning is basically picking up that I've got several components here that can be converted into a block. So it says 17 total. I can say, okay, I'll press the enter, keep that. And then on my convert little dialog here that comes up, I can create a new block here. See, so for example, I could give it a name. I don't know, I'm going to call it my comfy chair. So simple name there, the comfy chair. So I'm going to click on convert here. So now I've got a conversion of the block for my chair. So there it now becomes a block reference like that. Now I think this is really useful, to be honest. I do like this because in my work with doing some technical training with people like space planning and things like this, when they're using cut and paste to place desks and chairs and stuff over a big area, this really does clean that up. I must admit, it does clean that up. And in the experiments I've been doing with it recently, it's been very good. Now, so if I just come back to the home tab here, over on my blocks here, we do have a feature that's in the evolution stage of AutoCAD at the moment, which is basically what I was just doing a second ago. But if I click on detect here, you'll see that we've got a little dialog box come up here, and then this is what they call a tech preview. And so it means that at this moment of time in the 2025 version, it's still in development. So this particular one here just basically said no, there's nothing to detect here, because what I've actually done, I've just converted them already into blocks. So at the moment I don't have anything there that I could detect in here. But if you had geometry in here that could possibly be a block, this often works. But like I said, it's in tech preview at the moment. I've experimented with it, and it's good, it's working, but as I say, it's a tech preview and it's just coming together. So that is really useful there. I like that with the blocks. I must admit, with blocks is something that can be processor intensive. So another aspect that has been coming along here is the hatches. Now, I've done work with people like landscape surveyors, this type of thing, and they've come to me about hatching. So if I clicked on hatching here, we've got a few features here, of course. Now down here we've got some modes here and some settings here. So modes, the normal pick internal point and stuff is available here. So if I choose like a concrete there, for example, and then I made my scale a little bit bigger here, jumped into a mode setting here, I could use an area setting. So I can click on an area and then basically describe an area like this. So instead of actually creating a polyline and then using a boundary projection to do this, I can actually do that place that on there. So I find this quite useful. If I want to put a hatch pattern across several components, I can just tap round the component to highlight where the hatch is going to be, because if I need to do it as a select internal point, I need to select islands or decrease islands and stuff like this. So I quite liked that. In the mode here, I've also got the path one here, and I can change the width of the path, say 1,000 there. I'll keep that. And then I've got a path process as well. So basically that means I can set the hatch to a given thickness. So like once again, when I was doing this with the landscape surveyors, they said, you know, this is quite good because we can use this for literally for paths and stuff like that. So I've got that exactly the same there. So that this is working. The hatch improvement, some people have said, you know what's going on here with this, but I must admit, I find it in a workflow situation, there's very often places where this will actually work well with this. So I'll just delete those out the way there for the moment. I'll jump over to some of the markup at the moment, and then jump back into the Esri maps. But on the markup tools, if I look at collaboration here, perhaps, and jump over to the layout here, one of my layouts, I've got obviously this particular model. If anybody remembers it, I did actually use it last year, but I wanted to use it again because the markup import has improved in its sort of accuracy and location. So I'll click on open here to bring in my import. So it looks at this, and you can see that it brings that import in here nicely. Before, I must admit, when this was working in its state before, like I said, it was a technology improvement. We used to move, align, rotate, scale, but very often I could just tap on here to completely just have that like that. So then we've got on the drawing here, you can see that just like before, we've got the features here. They're very quick now. I just clicked on drawing here, and this is the markup assist is on. Basically, I can come into here. So for example, on this, I could hover here, and you can see now that it's going to flag up that the markup assist through the machine learning is identified an instruction. And even though I'd written remove in here, it sees that I could use a erase command. So I could just come back to my model space here, select this like this, and select here like this, and it will select my command like that. And so therefore I can just select and delete those out the way like that. So they would be deleted. This grey is the overlay. So things like that as well. I've got the move as well. So I could actually see that this reception desk is basically moving from here down to here. So essentially it'll pick up that as well. So same concept there with the overlay that we had, the markups that we had last year. So I'm going to close that for the moment because it's actually working quite well. And like I said, very briefly, that the alignment on there is working really nice now. So if you're working with your AutoCAD out on site and you're using some form of markup, you can send that markup back to the office, and then very quick markups there. So the other one, other option I wanted to very quickly talk about is if I created a completely new little project here, new drawing here, just very quickly a new drawing here. And I then look at my insert here, right along here where we got set location. One of the aspects of set location now is that I can select from an Esri map. So if I clicked on Esri maps here, and then it will look for where we are. So for example, if I spoke about our Cuffley office there to show where we are, use Cuffley. So there's Cuffley down there, and I can use this one and say, okay, this drop the marker in here. So that's my Cuffley there. Click on next. Obviously I could be a bit more precise here than this, but then I'm choosing whichever form of ordnance survey I'm using. So for example, the UK is here. The Ordnance Survey GB 1936 very often is used. It depends on which company you're working with. I've done it with, like I say, land surveyors. They use a different coordinate system. Engineers and stuff maybe use different ones. So there's a lot going on here. So I can click on next here, and then I can place, this position where I want it. So that goes to 0,0, for example, like that. And then I place that in here, and then of course it will zoom to my Cuffley area, which is really nice. So I could have the Esri imagery is here. So there's quite a bit going on here. The Esri imagery, Esri streets like this, and so on. So if I just turn the grid off there, we would see some nice features here. So once again, I do like this concept here. This using the Esri maps is quite accurate. I do like it. So we've got some nice features going on there. Something that is very important that I have with a lot of folks is that the graphics configuration, and what do we need in hardware, what do we need here. And one of the aspects I found very useful is that if I come into our classic graphics config now, essentially when we're looking at the on our AutoCAD, depending on our client's needs and stuff like that, very often we're asked questions, or even in class people are saying about problems that they have with the computer. So even in the 2025 version, it's not something that's a big wow, but I do think it's useful in that they've introduced the diagnosis tab here. So if you're working with your AutoCAD in your office and things may be a little bit flaky or slow and freezing and stuff like this, or indeed just completely crashing, what we have here is a diagnosis here going on. So the hardware acceleration, is that useful? Is that up to date? The card drivers, is that up to date? Whether you're using DirectX 12, I could speak about this a lot more, but that's one thing we could do in our class. And is the automatic configuration working? So very often, if this shows an X with a red circle, it means that the drivers need to update, and classic little things like that. So this is rather nice here that we have a diagnosis in here. So from 2023, 2025 now, there's some really nice features in here, I believe. But more importantly, I believe that we're at a time where with some good changes in AutoCAD, to be honest, and it's more about workflows than feature sets, I think. So with that, I will come back, stop my sharing now, and ask for the next slide there. But one of the important aspects of our course is the fact that we can have a little bit of a brainstorm at the end with the team. We've had this recently where people have said, I'm the CAD manager, and to be honest, I don't know what the new guys are doing, but also I'm too busy to keep my updated. So if I come to the course, I can have a day, and then in the afternoon we can have a bit of a chin wag and look at people's problems. And so the course is all about that. And that's available online where that's run online as an online course, of course, so is available to everybody. So yeah, thank you for that. That's great. So the new course is there. So I think now I need to pass over to Lorenzo to talk about Sovelia and the wonderful stuff he can do there.
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Lorenzo, and with Symmetry I'm delivering AutoCAD and Inventor training and also helping customers with project work. All right, so as AutoCAD evolved over the years, in the meanwhile also Symmetry developed a solution to make the CAD more productive. I'm talking about Sovelia. Sovelia is a digital solution for AutoCAD developed by Symmetry over the past 30 years. I'm starting to give a bit of background on this. The developers considered what the customer were asking for example, to achieve determinate tasks and enhance their business processes. For this reason, it is built around the customers and also regularly updated based on their feedback. It is a customer-driven solution, and you can also give an idea of what you would like to see in the toolset or any type of feedback you would like to provide. And the developers, they will take that in consideration for the future releases. For this reason, it's a customer-driven solution. But what is the business potential of Sovelia? I will show you a few examples with this presentation and with the live demo that is following. I want to start talking about collaboration, the collaboration between different teams of the same company. Just to give an idea, mechanical engineers with electrical engineers, for example. Collaboration is a key factor inside an organization, and if you think a common workflow between everybody allows to have a unique process, follow the same steps to complete tasks. And there are less issues that can be caused by using different approaches. Otherwise, someone is doing in a way, another one doing differently, and any error or inefficiency in the workflow can lead to revisions and delay and so on. With Sovelia, all these errors can be limited because the team members from different disciplines can collaborate effectively using the same software and not different toolsets, because Sovelia is covering different disciplines. It's very common to get used to the same repetitive tasks, and this is not necessarily a good thing. It doesn't mean that the users complete the tasks in the most efficient way. Probably they just repeat those tasks because used to that workflow. And doing that every day, over and over again, can also start to be annoying or stressful. And this can lead to affect the productivity, maybe. With the help of Sovelia, you can complete the same tasks maybe in half the time with less clicks of the mouse using Sovelia features, and allows saving valuable time and resources that you can spend on more meaningful work. Automating repetitive tasks save time and reduce the risk of human error. Time is money, and as a consequence, is a huge benefit for the company. One concrete example of time saving can be the use of pre-created libraries of components. The users don't have to spend time creating blocks from scratch because they are already prepared and ready to use. They are also smart. For example, you don't need to trim after you're placing the symbol in the correct position, and I will show you what I mean during the demo. Just to give an example, Sovelia includes libraries of different standards of symbols. Mechanical, PND, electrical, only to mention. So, not only libraries of blocks, but also features related to these disciplines. As I mentioned, blocks already created, and you don't have to start from scratch. The user is also prompted to use standards and styled predefined. This ensures that the drawings are consistent and standardized between the whole company. Collaboration between different teams, as I mentioned before. Just simply starting a new drawing, the user can easily place predefined borders and the title block. Text and annotation symbols will automatically be in the correct scale and layer accordingly with the standard selected. Making sure that everybody is using the same setup can reduce useless errors that can be cost time to be fixed, and can guarantee the users are creating drawings with the quality required. Sovelia is a huge time saver for those people who can spend time preparing and setting up their workplace properly. Let's move on to the software. Okay, I'm starting with an empty drawing. I'm not using any template. I have nothing in here. I will show you that using Sovelia feature, I can go in here and add inside my drawing a border and a title block. So it is all pre-created. I only need to choose between the size of border that I need. So I want to use a page size A0. For this example, I'm going to use this one. I can decide the position inside my drawing area. And I can also attach a title block. I can decide the scale and so on. I'm going with OK. It is placing my border inside the drawing area. And then I can pick a title block. I can customize this. So I'm just inserting the title block. And it is automatically placed inside the page and the border. Here is just an attribute editor for blocks. And I will show you that I want to type my name, but I'm going to use this functionality that I can save text pre-created, so I don't have every time to type my name from scratch. So I can just pick my name and click OK. For example, also the title of the drawing, I can use this text pre-created. I can save different options, and I can just add that like this. So I don't need to type all the letters or the words every time. And I just put OK. So it is a field inside my title block. I'm moving into the discipline section. So Sovelia is coming with different disciplines. I'm going through 3 different examples during this demo. I'm starting with I-beam, H-beam for the mechanical. Then I'm moving to the piping, PIN-IDs, and then architecture. I'm starting to draw this, a profile, high-profile beam. So you can see there is included with Sovelia AutoCAD libraries of standards for I-beam, H-beam, and so on. I can also see that there are different sizes, so I can just pick the size that I want. I can decide if I want the section of this profile, if I want the top view or the side view. For this example, I'm going with a top view. I can decide the insertion point, so if it is the center point, left, on right, and other options. And I can also check the figure and check the dimensions. So for example, I can check where I need to place my bolt connection. So I can check the diameter 13. I can check where is the distance between the axes of the holes and so on, if it is the correct I-beam profile. And then I can just click OK and start drawing my profile inside my AutoCAD. Okay, so I'm just placing this profile. I'm going on and I'm adding another one. Still a top view. Instead of center point, I'm going with a left point, insertion point. I'm clicking OK, and I'm picking this corner. I'm drawing vertical I-beam profile. You can see that is in the wrong orientation. So I can just flip this into the opposite direction. And it is in place like that. I want to place a bolt connection. I can just go here inside the mechanical panel. I can see there is a hole, threaded hole, or bolt. So I can go with a bolt. For example, a bolt head top view with the washer, so I can pick the correct size. So I saw before that was a diameter 13, so I'm just going with an M12. I click OK, and then I can place that inside my file. So I'm just going to use this functionality to track the location of this corner. So I'm going 22 in this direction, 22 in this direction, and I place my bolt in there. Okay, so I can mirror the others because they are exactly the same. So I can mirror just using AutoCAD features. Erase, no, and then I'm mirroring these two. Okay, so you can see that I can snap on these objects. Okay, for example, I can also create, I'm going back in my discipline section, a detailed view of this intersection. So I can go with copy detail. I can decide the settings, the scale that I want, the reference identifier that I want to use. I have different options. I'm going with OK, where I want to zoom this area. And then I can place my detail view in here, all automated. I don't need to do anything. Then I'm placing my identifier in there as well. So in here I can just populate with dimensions. Another thing that I want to do is the section. There is a feature, a Sovelia features, to create section lines. So I can create section lines without worrying of the line type, placing the arrow, all the text. It is all pre-created. So I can just go to insert my section line, the reference letter A, enter, and then I'm creating the section in here. Okay, so you can see line type, arrow, leader, and letters all pre-created. Just with one click, I'm placing my section line. And then I can go with the profile again, for example, this time the section, and I can also include a notch to this section. I'm going with OK, then I can snap in there, and I'm placing my section in here like this. What else? I can add balloons for a part list. So I'm just going to add balloons in here for this I-beam profile. Okay. And you can see that is also recognizing the length of my beam. So I don't need to type the length, is just giving me also the length, the material, and as a consequence I have also the weight that I can use, for example, later in my part list. And I can change all these things. I can click OK. So they are all attached with this component. I'm just going with the other one as well. So I'm adding a balloon for this component in here. Okay. And I can see here is changing as well. So accordingly with this one selected. And I'm adding my part list. So I'm going in here and I'm adding a part list. Okay. And here is coming the part list attached to my border and title block, where I can find the balloons, so the number 1 and the number 2, and the characteristic of those I-beam profiles. So I can see the length, the product standard used, the material, and the weight. And as a consequence, the benefit of all of this is that you can have also the total sum, so you can have the total sum. And if, for example, you need to export all of these, for example, to share with your colleagues or other business area of your company, you can decide to go in here and create an output file. And also you can decide to not attach this inside your file, your current drawing. So you can just create a CSV file and save that as a CSV file inside your cloud, or share that with the share system that you are using or in your Windows Explorer. And then you can open this with Excel, for example, and add other information, for example, the cost or what else. Okay, I'm moving to the following example here, and I will show you the PIN-IDs section. For the PIN-ID, I have different types of piping, so I'm just going, for the purpose of this example, to draw a main piping line, like that. Okay, so this is my main piping line. And I want to include the symbols, pin IDs symbols. So I'm just going to use, I'm adding a blind flange at the end and the beginning. So I'm just going in there. And I have a database of different symbols, or pre-created. I don't have to worry to create anything. So I'm just going with a blind flange, insert, and when I'm inserting that symbol, it is also orientating that in the correct way. I'm just adding another one, pin flange, blind flange at the other extremity, and you can see that is orientated in the correct direction, and is also adding a numbering to that symbol. If I want to add a valve, it is the same, so I can just pick the valve that I want. There are different types of valves, as well as any other pin ID symbol. And I can attach that inside the symbol. So the thing that I said that it is smart is the one that I'm going to show you right now, is that if I'm placing that valve in here, it is also trimming my line and placing the block in here. And again, there is the numbering system. If I want to copy this into other position, I can use a Sovelia feature. So I don't need to reopen my library. I can just copy this one and place that in another position. And you can see it is also orientating accordingly with the line, the piping line. I can do that one more time in there and place that in here. And for the piping, I can add or a part list or a legend list. So if I'm going with a legend list, it is creating a legend list of all the symbols that the system is finding inside this drawing, and I can see an icon to recognize the symbol, the quantity, and a description as well. So I can see I have 2 blind flange and 3 valves. The last example, I'm moving into the third drawing. I have a layout, so I'm going to show you the library for architecture or things like that. So I'm going in the architecture panel, and I want to add safety sign symbols. So I can add, for example, let's see, I can go emergency exit, so I can insert that in here. Okay. I can also go with symmetry fire sign, so I can go with an alarm sign, fire alarm sign, and I can place that in there, so I can just populate my my drawing with different symbols. For example, I can also add a first aid station. I can go in insert and place that in another room. So just going randomly inside this room, but anyway, you can do that with criteria. And the cool thing is that I can attach a legend list. So I can go with legend list, and it is creating my legend with the icon, the category, and the alarm, and also the quantity. So it is finding one of that type, one of that type, one of the type. If I add more, it will be in the correct, showing the correct number of icons that I have in there. All right, so I'm moving back inside my presentation. There is a QR code to download a free trial for the Sovelia AutoCAD. So you can download and try that on your own, and you can see. Anyway, we are available for any question or any demo customized for your company. Nicole, and thank you for joining this webinar.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And just one final thing. Thank you, Lorenzo, for your hard work there. And of course, if you need to get in touch with us, please do. Please get in touch. Talk about what you're doing, where you're going, and how we can support you.